All right, out say, how are you all this evening of your time as you create time to exist? Allow us to begin this interaction this evening of your time with the entitlement karmic template. Assistant. Now, while the aforementioned visual aid is being prepared, allow us to reiterate some of the ideas we have discussed with you briefly to lay down a foundation for the reason for this graphic. Do not show it to them yet. The idea, first and foremost, is that we have discussed karma, the idea you call karma, and we have discussed the idea that karma is completely self-imposed by you upon yourself. There is no outside exteriorized judgment against you. Karma is simply representative of a momentum, of an idea that you wish to play out in any particular physiological lifetime that may have connections to what you call other physiological lifetimes you have lived or will live. The idea also is that we have discussed that time, even though it is real while you are in it, is nonetheless your projection, your illusion. It is a concept that exists within creation, obviously, since you live within it. But it is your self-created idea, self-created definition, so that you can experience the idea of a physiological reality. Because one of the definitions of physiological reality is the concept space-time. Those limitations, those definitions create your ability to exist as a physicalized being. But we have also talked about that because time is an illusion, all the different lives you have ever lived or will ever live in any dimension of experience all exist, in a sense, now, simultaneously. They all have their own reality. They are all a part of the you, the whole you, the total you that you are. But in choosing to experience a fragment of your consciousness in a linear fashion, then you relegate that portion of your consciousness, so to speak, to experience that totality in a step-by-step linear fashion, one after another, rather than all at once, which is the perspective of the non-physical consciousness that you also are, which you colloquially refer to as the oversoul. The oversoul, in that sense, can be viewed, as we have discussed many times, as the projectionist. And the lives can be viewed as the film strip, as you call it. Each frame on the film representing perhaps a different life or a different moment in one life. Now, to the portion of the film that exists within the film itself from frame to frame, it only knows the frame it is in at any given moment, has what you call a memory of frames that have gone by, and in that sense only a dim understanding of projections or predictions of the frame coming up based on past continuity. But the projectionist sees the whole film all at once and knows that all the frames exist right now, from beginning to end, as you say. And only the characters on the film are isolated to the particular frame in which they exist, until the next frame creates the illusion of movement and change and continuation and momentum. This is a similar analogy to physical reality. Continuity is simply your projection, your illusion in that sense. Your rate of flow, of transformation, of creating a series of different nows in a different format, in a different shape. Even from what you call a movement here to here may actually be the creation of many millions of different realities in between to create the illusion of continuous movement from one point to another. No one really moves anywhere. No one really goes anywhere. Motion, in that sense, is completely a true illusion. The idea is that you simply recreate the reality over and over and over again, discontinuously, now, to create the idea, the sensation of physical reality that defines its coordinates by space and time. Now, the idea also is that we have discussed that you, since you exist only now, only in the present, experientially, actually create the past as well as the future from the present. Because now is the only time in which you actually ever really exist. the idea of memory, whether it be something in your particular present life in the past, or whether it be the idea and notion of a particular past life in the linear, let us say, film of your existence, all of that memory is still created in the present. When you create memory, you are not actually, in a sense, thinking in the past. You are thinking of an idea called the past, but you are creating that memory in the present. All creation takes place in the present. Always. It is always, to put it very simply, now. And it is never any other time, but now. That is the only experiential time that exists. Now, this visual aid can show to some degree, by a mechanical analogy, how the idea of the simultaneousness of all your lives can be interpreted in a linear fashion in the physical reality you are used to experiencing. But remember, this is simply an analogy. For this particular visual aid is, in a sense, simply a two-dimensional presentation of a three-dimensional representation of a fourth-dimensional concept of an infinitely interdimensional structure. So, while many different degrees of dimensionality are removed from this particular mechanical visual aid, it will serve to get across the basic idea of the mechanism. Are you ready? Yes. Very good. Now, what you will first observe is simply a representation of either, now you can take this either way, many different lives, each one represented by a hexagonal format of 6 arrows pointing in 6 directions, leading to every other hexagonal arrow pattern. So each of those can be a life. Each of those can be a different version of you in a different dimension. Past, present, future, alternate reality, call it what you will, it does not matter. It is a holographic representation of the simultaneous existence of every single probable reality and possible way that you can exist and do exist on every dimension there is to exist upon. It is referred to as a holographic matrix. Holographic in the sense that every point, in that sense, in one sense, is equal to every other point. From any point, you can proceed in any direction, and in a sense, all points connect up to all other points. In other words, each spot contains the information of the whole, and basically is a microcosm of the whole. Now, this represents the view that your non-physical oversoul has when it looks at all the different lives that you have simultaneously going on. It simply looks and says, all right, 1934, 1987, 1992, 2500, all these ideas are all simultaneous to the oversoul. They are all extensions of the oversoul, simultaneous extensions in much the same way that your fingers are simultaneous extensions of your hand. Each finger has independence in a sense and represents a different idea, but they all lead back to the hand, are all part of one idea. Now, if you will apply or hold up the karmic overlay template, what you can see is a symbol, a strip that contains a particular idea. This is the representation of physical reality, linear space-time, with arrows moving only in one direction. The central arrow represents your idea of now. The 2 arrows, in that sense, on what you would call your left represent past, and the 2 on what you would call your right represent the future. In this indication, it is simply indicated past -1, past -2, future +1, future +2, to indicate different either moments in one life or different lifetimes. You can take it either way. This chart can be used to represent whole life or moments within one life. You follow along so far? Now, if you overlay the idea of the karmic template upon the holographic matrix, you will understand more precisely that karma is simply, literally, pattern recognition. That is all it is. It is a pattern overlay that you decide represents the present life you are living. You thus, by overlaying that particular format or pattern or template upon the present idea you now decide to be, determine with that overlay what connections you have in the past and what connections you have in the future. For it illuminates a particular set of arrows in other simultaneous existence, both now that allows you to call it the past, and simultaneous existence that now allows you to call it the future. Because you are looking through the filter of the overlay, you now only see these simultaneous lifetimes in a linear fashion. Before, now, after. Because that is the definition of physical reality and the definition of the karmic overlay. It is a pattern that you impose upon yourself. Now, this is why, in having chosen that particular pattern, you can see mechanically that you have determined which simultaneous other lives will be represented as past lives and future lives to this life you are creating. Angle the karmic template. Now, you can say that this is perhaps another idea, another lifestyle, another personality that you chose to be. Understand how being that other personality still allows there to be the bleed-through of the holographic matrix to create still the illusion of a temporal momentum, but now you have a different set of past lives, a different set of future lives. And the new person that you are literally determines the fact that you will then relate to a completely different past, a completely different future. So, the idea of having this life now and then assuming that perhaps you die and reincarnate doesn't necessarily mean that the life you're having now will literally be directly connected to the next life you have. You can actually diversify very radically by altering the idea sufficiently so that the next person you are will actually have a different past life than the one you're living now. Understand the mechanics and simply see that the lineage always follows suit. And also, if you take this as an analogy for even the moments in one life, then the change in direction can represent changes in the patterns or ideas that you are being at any given moment. And you can see that by a change in the pattern, you change the feedback all the way back and all the way forward and create literally within one life a different past, a different future for the vibrational frequency you have dialed yourself to at this particular moment. And also it shows you how in the present, what you call the center point, small changes in direction create large changes in the past and large changes in the future. Because you can see the sweep of the arc is a mechanical analogy that a small divergence of pattern in the present will compound itself both in the future and in the past to create large variations. You understand the angle of incidence? The idea, therefore, is to recognize that you do not have to create overwhelmingly obvious changes in your present to create overwhelmingly obvious changes in your past and your future. A small divergence in any direction, in any frequency in your present will manifest as a widely different idea or outcome in what you call the future, and a widely different idea and outcome in what you call the past, because as you understand past, you have based your experience on what will happen, on what has happened. This is the illusion you have created. So simply understand that if you change yourself even minutely in the present, and that small change creates a great divergence in the outcome in your future, then by definition, there must be a large divergence in your past to have initiated the type of foundation that would create such a large divergence in your future. You understand? The idea simply is to recognize that you are multidimensional, multidirectional, and any subtle change you make within any one life, or any change you make from life to life, will connect you to a whole other series of incidents and events that have to do with the life you are living at the present. So when we talk about the idea of what your past lives were, that does not necessarily mean that in the next life you have, if you have one, that you will have the same lineage. And it does not necessarily mean that the quote-unquote past life you were has the same future life that you consider yourself to be. They branch out multidimensionally, holographically, in all dimensions at once. And you can take any route, any path, and they will all be real, all directly connected to you. Whatever idea you are being at the moment determines utterly any other ideas that are capable of being perceived as being connected to you now, whether they are in what you call the past or the future. You are the dial, and the dial for your reality is always in the present with you. It is never in the past. It is never in the future. It may, in your terms, affect what you call the past and affect what you call the future, but that control and that malleability is with you in the present. You all follow along? Does this mechanical analogy illuminate some of the ideas for you that we have discussed? We can go into this perhaps further at another time, or perhaps according to anything you might specifically wish to apply to this idea. But for now, it will do, and it will sink into your consciousness on whatever level it needs to. Thank you very much, assistant. And at this timing, in exchange for your willingness to allow us to share with you the reflections of the ideas that you all are, we will ask you now, how may I serve you?
Hello, Bashar.
Hello.
I'd like some more information on the pink Amazon river dolphin.
All right.
I've been drawn to them, and how do they differ from the ocean dolphins, or how are they similar?
They are, in a sense, an aspect, obviously, of the overall dolphin consciousness, a segment of the other alien, if I may, species upon your planet, aside from human, which all cetaceans are in that sense. They, to some degree, have a similar relationship to what you call your typical ocean dolphins as what you call your Native American culture has to the mainstream of your human society. They are, in that sense, the dimensional wanderers. They are more instinctively based. All dolphins are, in a sense, but certain types of oceanic dolphins do have a capacity for what you would call reason that is similar to your way of thinking. Whereas the idea of the Amazon dolphins are far more, let us say, original to your planet in that sense. They are far more naturally attached, far more instinctively attached, and can wander far more readily through different dimensions and gateways. They are not so strongly, completely attached to the present level of what you call your humanity, as are the ocean dolphins. They are connected to many archetypal segments of your overall human consciousness, and therefore can be very conducive in, quote-unquote, reflecting and symbolizing and luring you into associations with your, let us say, old ways, your natural ways, and the ways you are now learning to be, to reconnect with. They are very primal in that sense, very clear in that sense, but almost entirely instinctive. You follow me?
Yes.
So it can form a reconnection for many of you to that pulse of the earth. Whereas the oceanic dolphins, although they are connected to that, will appeal more to the idea of your dream realities within reason, within the mentality band. Whereas the Amazon dolphins will make connections within the emotional bands and the etheric bands. You follow me?
Yes.
Does that assist you?
Yes, it does. And would the pink ones fall into the same category
Of what?
that you were talking, the differences?
The pink ones are what we were referring to.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So if they entice you and they attract you, then that is simply archetypally representative of a certain portion of your consciousness that you are integrating within yourself now. Attract yourself to them in whatever way, shape, or form your imagination so desires. If you wish to go and play with them, by all means do so. But remember, they are in a very way magical. And in that sense, not that anything else is not, but they are more prone to the idea of intuition. And therefore you may find that if you go and attach yourself to that particular symbol, you may find yourself wandering in and out of dimensional gates that you will not necessarily be able to use your reason to understand, but which you can feel with your heart. You follow me?
Yes.
They are very similar to the idea of the vibration of rose quartz, the heart energy, directly.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Sharing.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you.
I was here last week for the first time, and I had a friend with me, and we both put our names in line, and we're leftovers. But he couldn't be here tonight, so I'm going to ask his leftover question also. Just a couple of months ago, he lost his father.
All right.
And I've been doing a lot of reading in the area of theosophy. And I am interested, we've talked about the ideas I've come across, he and I. And in theosophy, they say that the soul goes to a kind of blissful rest within a certain period of time, a short period of time after it dies.
In a sense, it will depend upon the belief systems that were most strong at the point of death.
Okay. So I think he's interested to know if his father is really at peace, if there's any illumination you could give in that area. I mean, maybe not specifically his father, not that you're necessarily in touch with that spirit, but generally is that...
The idea, first of all, is to recognize once again that whatever the individual's strongest belief system was at the point of death will usually be what they experience at that moment, because then you become a thought form in a world of thought form, and there is no longer the time lag in the creation of a thought into a thing. So the idea, first of all, is that whatever they most strongly expected to see is usually what they see. And sometimes if they had a strong expectation of something that they may find unpleasant, then seeing it may shock them out of having that particular expectation very quickly.
I would think so.
So the idea is to recognize that there will be individuals who will always assist that individual as far as that individual is willing to be assisted, to recognize that the state of bliss that you are referring to is the ability to be willing to recognize that you utterly, on all levels, and particularly very quickly in the quote-unquote non-physical level, utterly create your reality that you experience around you based upon the strongest belief that you have of what that reality will be. So, if an individual is open enough to understand that they did not have to expect one particular experience upon death, then they may be willing to receive the assistance from other individuals to show them that they can really experience anything they want, and in that sense, that is bliss. You follow me?
Yes,
now,
I think I do. Yes.
One moment. Once again, repeat time frame of death.
May 5th, 1987. His name was Albert Feinberg.
Immediate impression is that there are perhaps three, but one very strong individual that they have been associated before in many other lives, what might have been referred to as a very strong feminine energy that preceded them, that is willing to share of her, if I may, experience. I say if I may because a soul is no longer in that sense strictly male or female, but will present herself to him as female because it will be the vibration he will be most familiar with upon arriving in that area, that vibration. And this female will have begun to present different ideas. It is our perception that this individual is, in your terms, catching on rather rapidly.
He was a smart man.
The idea also is that it is completely, utterly up to each and every one of you to decide what you wish to do from that point forward. Whether or not, in your terms, to reincarnate, although, of course, from some of those higher points of view, you understand that it is not reincarnation, but simply a different focus of simultaneous existence. But the decision has not yet been made. One moment. There seems to be some strong consideration of expression of musical aptitudes that may or may not be explored by this individual, either within what you call a reincarnation or in assistance as for a while performing as a spirit guide for those that may in your terms still be physically alive, perhaps most strongly the son.
Oh.
You understand?
Yes.
Our immediate perception, but this can always change because time in that sense is fluid and there is no solid future to predict, is that the individual may choose to explore right now some of these ideas for approximately what you would call the next 2 years before making a strong decision.
The individual being Albert.
Okay. So they may be in contact through dream by functioning as a spirit guide for approximately 2 years while they develop their own understanding of what it is he would like to do. You follow me?
Yes.
In other words, he will serve an apprenticeship of being of service, and in so serving, will give himself more understanding of the desires he has to express himself either within another incarnation or to simply project himself to other dimensions of reality.
All right.
And your question?
My question. If we take evolution as a fact, at least our present understanding is that evolution is the probability.
Okay. Although your present understanding of what you call evolution is somewhat incomplete.
I'm sure. But if, as much as we know right now,
Yeah.
evolution is, and we started as pure physical, amoeba, bacteria, etc., and then grew from there, at what point did the spirit join the physical entity?
Thank you. First of all, recognize that all consciousness, in a sense, is spirit. And all physical reality is consciousness and is spirit. So physical reality is, in a sense, spirit in physical terms. But we understand what you mean. The idea is a blending of the two ideas you are now dealing with in your society that you call evolution and creationism. Because the idea was that there was, in your terms, physiological evolution up to a certain point between what you would call 6 and 3 million of your years ago. And then your overall collective consciousness, combined as one idea, projected itself reincarnationally to the vibration of your Earth at that time, saw in the evolutionary patterns upon your planet a suitable host representation for your consciousness, and then mutations were directed by your consciousness to allow that physiological form to become able to connect to your consciousness, to carry your consciousness into physical reality in this particular vibratory frequency. You follow me?
Yes, I do. So between about 3 and 6 million years ago, this happened. All right.
As you count time generally.
Yeah.
The idea simply is that a suitable vehicle was observed and was mutated to become even more suitable, and then you began to project your consciousness into it, and in a sense, quote unquote, not meaning that you are imprisoned within it, but in a sense locked yourself into association with that physiological form. Now, many changes have taken place since that time as well, and some of these changes are the product of interaction with what you now colloquially call extraterrestrial species as well.
All right. I thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Shooting.
Hi.
Hi.
Recently, I had something occur, and I did something not within my integrity, and I felt really terrible.
Oh, all right. So you did two things outside of integrity. The first thing, and then feeling guilty about it.
That's the Catholic way.
All right.
And that's what I wanted to speak to you about.
All right.
There are two things. One is I said, well, when I did something that, just for lack of saying integrity all over again, when I did something bad, I said, all of a sudden I felt like everything that I'd ever done that was good, and every time I just felt light and like life was wonderful, I felt like it was a lie.
All right.
And I thought, and I was going, God, where is this coming from? What?
You.
Couldn't be me.
Yeah.
And so then I looked back and I saw that when I first started finding out about the Catholic religion and baby Jesus and all that stuff, well, I wanted to be a saint. But finding out that I felt a saint had to be pure at heart, which I realized very quickly I wasn't. So, well, I do mean little rotten things, stuff like that.
All right.
And,
you can be a mean little rotten saint.
Thank you.
Maybe you can get your halo in installments.
Well, that was the other thing I was going to talk to you about.
Okay.
The way to get pure at heart, once you're not pure at heart, the way to get there via Catholicism, which I haven't been for a long time. I didn't even know I had all this stuff still there, was You suffer. You crucify yourself very
Yes.
much like Christ did.
We understand the analogy, but remember that the idea of the Christ consciousness acting out that particular idea of suffering was for the point that neither any of you from that point forward had to do the same idea.
So what do we do now?
It is up to you. You see, the idea now is that it is completely your option. Because in what you call the enactment of the crucifixion was played out all of the culmination of your need to suffer. And now, if you choose to suffer, it is completely your choice. So do you prefer it?
I just prefer not to do anything outside my integrity.
All right.
It doesn't always happen that way.
You can create it to be that way, if you wish.
Yeah, I mean, I'm working on it, but I still tend to go back to, if I do something that's not within my integrity, to, do something against myself.
All right, mea culpa.
What?
The idea simply is to remember that if you do recognize that you have done something outside of your integrity, and you no longer prefer to do that, well, first of all, in a sense, you do, in fact, only add to the lack of integrity by berating yourself for it rather than simply using it as a positive reflection that now you know something you no longer prefer to do.
Kind of godlike.
Well, you are, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The idea simply is to recognize that if you do something outside of integrity and it gives you the opportunity to recognize you no longer wish to do that, then the recognition in and of itself is all the absolving you need. Understand?
I understand.
Therefore, if you simply know, to put it very simply, that you are always doing the best you know how to do at any given moment, and that you are always, to the best of your knowledge, acting within integrity, then should you discover that for some reason you haven't been, then allow yourself to be, in your terms, rejoiceful that the path you took allows you to see it, so that you could take the opportunity to recognize what you no longer prefer to do, and then you will understand that in having allowed yourself to see what you were doing was an act outside of integrity, that in the overall sense you must have been acting within integrity to have given yourself an opportunity to see that you were acting outside of it.
I got it. Thank you.
It can be that simple.
Yes, I agree. I just got real confused there for a few days. I was like...
All right. Some of you enjoy that. It's fun. But remember that confusion is a limbo state to give you time to assess other probable realities that you may prefer over the one you are living.
Yes, and I couldn't come up with another one, so that's why I was here. The other thing I wanted to share with you, which while I was exploring this same idea, I was looking at the idea of, like, saints. They're holy.
If you say so.
Well, here's what I realized. I mean, for me anyway, the way that I created at this point is the idea was not to be holy, H-O-L. It was to be W-H-O-L.
Thank you. Very astute.
Well, you're welcome.
And remember, in that sense, and in no way, shape, or form is this meant derogatorily to your species, but saints were human too.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you. Shooting. Thank you for applauding yourselves. You deserve it.
Hi, Bashar, my friend.
I
would like to share a dream I had.
All right, speak up so all can hear.
And ask a question.
All right.
I haven't dreamt much in my life that I realized I had done. And about a week ago, I had a very vivid dream, like living in it.
Yay.
As I am now.
Yay.
I was on this spaceship that I've been hearing about. I didn't see anything. I just knew I was on a spaceship.
Many of you are in your dream states.
And I didn't see any objects, and I began to wonder who I was going to talk to or how I was going to talk to them.
Yay.
And it came to me in just a knowing way, telepathically.
Yay.
And I just knew I was there, and I all of a sudden had in my hands three objects. A tape, which was bigger than our tapes, a disc, which is thicker than our discs, and what they told me was a hologram.
Yay.
In a case, a glass case. I don't know what was in it, but
more of the same as on the tape and on the disc.
Well, it answered questions. I just knew this. It came to me. It created things, and if it got in the wrong hands, it disappeared.
The idea simply is a recognition that anything that is not of the vibration of that information, it is simply unfindable, invisible.
I see.
Yet it is all recorded within you in a very crystalline way. That is what those things represented, is the information and the knowingness that is always recorded in you. Anytime you are of a particular frequency, a particular vibration, you always contain all the information you need to be who you need to be at that moment. Always.
I see. The dream continued, or it was an additional dream.
All right.
Where my wife had a meeting in Long Beach, and I was worried about her driving, and all of a sudden I knew a spaceship was going to take her there, which it did. I didn't see the spaceship at that point. I worried whether they would pick her up, and instantly I was in Long Beach watching her being retrieved.
Yes, as we have said, when you are dreaming, you are in the dream realm, the dream reality. You may call it the astral or etheric realm, and the thought is instantly the thing.
Well, I didn't see much of this except these three objects and the spaceship, but I just had a knowing. I knew this.
Yes.
I just knew.
Yes.
Now, the question that I wanted to ask was, we have a Down syndrome boy in the family that we love very dearly.
All right.
And he's been with us for just short of 20 years, but we wanted to find if you could give us the purpose of our sharing with him and him sharing with us in our family.
This individual is very strongly connected to the extraterrestrial source of your dreams. And is interacting on a level, let us say, above what you are used to interacting upon in your dream reality. Next time you have such a dream, look up, literally, into a higher frequency, and you will recognize him there. For he is projecting into many different dimensions of experience and has created a type of limitation and focus in the physical life to actually push him into those realms much faster, to allow him to maintain his connection to a realm that is more familiar to him than your earth dimension is. And he has attached himself in that way to you to be of representative and reflective significance and assistance to allow you to explore the dimensions and the realms that have to do with who you desire to be in your life. You are a triad, the three of you in that way, and have been many times before. He has been a very strong teacher in the past in many different ways, especially in what you would call Atalantean times. Individuals many times will take upon themselves certain afflictions or restrictions to push themselves in certain dimensional directions that they would otherwise perhaps not move in if they had more freedom in physical reality. His needs and his services are such that he has to project into the dream dimension to be of best assistance, and so he has given himself a symbol to direct him where he needs to be. There can be, as we perceive the energy now, a very strong and profound change that may occur in what you call approximately the 23rd year. For 23 will be one of the symbols representative of the interconnectedness of the holographic matrix, what you call synchronicity in life. And many new ideas may explode upon the scene, and that individual may choose to explode in another direction altogether, interdimensionally. Mm-hmm. But for now, in what you call the triad of years that remain, allow yourself to realize there will be high degrees of acceleration in your dream reality, if you wish, from this point forward, and that some of them are being directed by that individual very strongly, for they are a very strong spirit and very clear, and very loosely connected to physical reality.
I see.
Next time, think of an equilateral triangle and look up to the apex and see what you see.
I will.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasant dreams.
Thank you.
Shooting.
Dear Bashar, your introduction fit right into my scenario
well,
that I was going to give you today. It's interesting. Well, there was good news and there was bad news.
All right.
The good news was, as a child, I knew I had lived before. The bad news was I had no one to talk to about it.
Now you do.
Yes, things have changed.
Yay.
Okay. Anyway, when I was about 6 years old, I was a little kid. I was very able.
Yay.
Mentally, physically, emotionally. And I was sent to a camp for the summer. And we were down, there was a river, and we were at the beach. And I don't know if you know what the mill on the floss is or not. But it's a wheel that goes around into the water, and it pulls out one hell of an undertow. And there was a fence quite some distance away from it, which naturally we were told not even to get near to. And further down the beach is where we did our swimming.
All right.
As this, excuse the expression, young boy that I was, I got not only close to that fence, I went under the fence and through it, and the next thing I know, I was caught in this whirlpool, undertow, and I was being drowned and going down, 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 and I says, no way, this is not going to happen to me.
How exciting.
Or some words to that effect.
Hey.
And the next thing I knew, my head was popping out of the water way on the other side,
yes.
the safe side, and our counselor, lifeguard, grabs me and starts bawling me out for being so close to the fence.
Yes.
No way could I explain to him not only was I not close to the fence, I was on the other side being dragged down.
Yes.
And that, when I kind of put this whole experience aside, because I really couldn't communicate about it,
yes.
until many, many, many years later,
yes.
when I teleported once again.
Yes. It is something becoming far more common in your society now.
But when I teleported that time, it brought the recall of having done this when I was a 6-year-old boy.
Yes.
The only thing I recall, as I said, looking back, prior to me even being 6 years old, it was amazing some of the abilities and the awarenesses that I had.
Not really. It is natural in your children.
Well, it was, except after I did this teleporting and putting on the forgetter,
yes.
my tone level, emotions, my abilities dropped.
Yes.
My Scientological years, I thought maybe, well, it was just emotion dropping. But listening to you this past year, I came across, and especially what you're discussing today, my particular view is I shifted from one
reality to another.
Yes. A different world,
yes.
So forth.
You all do that many times a day. Many times a day.
I kind of like the old one. This one was a little harder to live with than the old one before.
Not really. It had to be absolutely representative of the vibration that you were. Okay. Absolutely. Now you can change that vibration again and pop into whatever world you wish.
I think I'll do it with the younger body. But it was very interesting. This was what I was going to mention today, and you came up with your scenario, and thank you.
Well, thank you very much for allowing us to reflect the crystalline, multifaceted consciousness that all of you are discovering yourselves to be. You are all very loosely connected.
Loosely. Very loosely. Thank you again.
Thank you. Shooting.
Hello, Bashar.
Strawberry.
Bashar, I realize that for some time you've been reflecting to us what works for you and your density.
Yes.
And I realize that you've been doing this because we have chosen to transcend from what we consider to be our density closer to an approximation of what yours is. But I have been getting the feeling lately that you are not articulately aware of the mastery of limitation that we have achieved.
Perhaps.
And that there are, although we have a philosophical draw by painting where we want to go and where we are, there seem to be some intricacies that are not workable from simply taking the point of view of what works for you. At least this is my feeling here.
All right. Fair enough.
Okay. And one of these intricacies seems to be what Hubbard defined as a stimulus response mechanism. Now, I know you, from a consciousness level, you're saying that this occurs simply very fast and is not within our conscious level of awareness, and it probably has the same karmic patterns of the type you were portraying.
To some degree, yes.
But I think the key is workability.
Yes, always.
You know, what works for the individual.
Yes.
And you've given us the tool of imagination to define what works for us individually.
Yes.
And I'm getting the feeling that we need to match frequencies a little bit more in terms of what works.
All right.
By some of these intricacies. But more along the direction, the concept is to come up with more workability in terms, in my own personal case, in terms, oh, I love that. That's beautiful.
Are you giving yourself a homework assignment?
That's very nice. Yeah, I got all your telepathic.
All right.
And yes, that's very nice. I'm sorry, I just got a whole telepathic message. It translates into more spirit of play, develops more workability. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good to talk to you again, Bashar.
And you. Shooting.
Good evening, Bashar.
And to you. Good day.
Thank you. I would like to share an experience
Go right
with
ahead.
you that I had with extraterrestrials. In June, I went to Grand Junction, and I was visiting some friends who I'm involved with in a meditation group. I was staying in a home at the base of the Grand Junction Monument. The first evening that I was there, I got into bed, and I was lying there in bed, and all of a sudden the bedroom door started swinging open and closed against the carpet. About this time, I was just looking in kind of an amazement, and I rolled over towards the other side of the room and looked out the window, and there were two lights that shot horizontally across the sky, went over the cliff formation, and I couldn't see what happened, and the next thing I heard was a loud rumble. Then two lights came out from the side of the cliff, and they were bouncing around for about a half hour, and I was just like mesmerized by the whole event.
All right.
And I went to sleep, and this happened for 5 nights. All 5 nights that I was there.
Nice.
The second night, instead of seeing 2 lights shoot out, I saw 1 light. And since then, when I returned home on July 4th, I was looking out my bedroom window, and I was watching the fireworks across the valley.
Nice.
And my little dog was in the room with me, and she started barking out the other window. And I went to look to see what it was, and I saw another light appear, and it was very bright, and then all of a sudden it disappeared, and then it was back and disappeared, and did this about 7 times, and then it was gone again. So what I would like is if you have some insight or understanding for me what this is in regards to.
How does it allow you to feel? And what do you wish to do with that feeling? Are you inspired to do something in particular?
I'm not quite sure. I feel very just relaxed and calm.
Yes. And in calm and in relaxation, what can't you do?
Think, analyze.
All right. But what can you do?
Explore, expand.
Anything. Anything.
Right.
Now, what do you wish to do? And where do you wish to do it? Do you wish to remain in your present area? Is there somewhere else you wish to go more strongly?
I'm not quite sure.
All right.
I do wish to be in service to people. And
in what way?
Actually, in learning. I am very interested in learning several different subjects, and I'm very interested in passing it to other people.
What have you learned about fear?
That it's limiting.
All right. Can you assist individuals to unlearn fear?
Yes.
Do you believe you have unlearned fear?
At times.
All right. Enough so that you can assist other individuals to unlearn theirs while you continue to unlearn yours?
Yes.
And once again, in what way do you specifically wish to be of service? For what you are, in that sense, recognizing are identifications with individuals you have made agreements with. That is what the lights represent. And the dog represents service.
I see.
In what way do you wish to be of service? In what way do you wish to fulfill the agreements you have made? How far, how fast do you wish to go?
I guess as fast as I allow myself.
Which is?
Now.
All right. In what way? What excites you?
I had a feeling this question would come up.
Then you are aware of the conversations and communication that went on during those interactions.
Yeah, I guess I am.
Yes, you are. So what excites you? And when will you do it?
I don't seem to have answers right here.
Do you know what excites you at all?
Sometimes I'm really not sure.
All right.
That's true. I seem to go from one direction to the next. I'm not staying in one certain area and working with that. My mind is always thinking about what's next and what else is there to do.
All
what
right.
else is there to learn.
All right.
And
but everything you will ever learn and everything you will ever do will be done in the present.
Correct.
So one of the ideas you were being told and shared within those conversations and connections was to remain in the present, and you will get wherever you want to go the quickest. Because it all happens here, not out there. Nothing happens in the future. It happens in the present.
Okay.
There is nowhere to get to that is any more rewarding than where you are. It will be different. You will expand and you will grow. But if at any given moment you are willing to simply be completely in the moment with whatever you are experiencing, then all the information, all the opportunities, and all the ability to act upon the opportunities will be yours in the present, if you remain in the present.
That's true.
This is the gist of the energy, as you say, that was being sent to you. The awakening of that realization within you. The commitments, in a sense, that you have chosen to make. The agreements you have chosen to fulfill. And the identifications with those portions of yourself that you have simply as a member of your species segregated in the past and can now integrate in the present. You are as fast as one of those lights. In every way, shape, and form, in a sense, you are one of those lights in more ways than one.
Mm-hmm.
And you are reflecting something back to yourself from, in a sense, your own future.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. I have nothing to do with it. Now, does that serve you?
Yes, it does.
Remember simply that the idea of what excites you the most does not necessarily have to be something other than what you are capable of doing right now. For everything else in that sense is pointless. And if you simply are excited about what you are doing right now, you will generate all the ability you need to be able to do anything else that will excite you that will come along. Understand?
That's perfect.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Night lights, night lights, night lights. Night lights. Think night lights. That is the vibration that can allow you to connect very strongly in your dream reality. Night lights, yes.
I know you communicate with telepathically, but on Earth we communicate many ways. One of them I saw yesterday was via T-shirts. I saw a Bashar quote on a T-shirt. It was something like, you don't get peace by hating war, you get peace by loving peace.
Yes.
And I was dwelling on that today. It seems like with all our limitations on this planet, this is knowledge that we now have on our planet, that apparently the positive energy and the Pleiadians, when they were trying to stop the negative energy, and the Orion didn't have, because they put their attention on the negative energy instead of on their positive energy.
Okay. Now you are blending. That is the whole idea of the transformation upon your planet. You are the fulcrum to blend and balance the idea of those energies and allow it to move in a positive direction.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, the question I wanted to ask was, I'm curious if, the individual signature vibration, is it always the same no matter what density he's on, or does it change when he changes density?
It changes, but there will always be the signature pattern that will be recognizable.
I see. Thank you.
Thank you. Shooting.
Bashar, hello.
Hello.
Going to Sedona for the convergence. I hope you'll see you there.
Have a good time.
Oh,
Why do you need to hope?
Okay. I'll see you there. Boynton Canyon.
Maybe.
Sunrise.
Maybe.
Okay, my question.
Yes.
Recently, I have been listening to some tapes and doing some studying on the subject of immortality.
Good.
And the regression of aging as we know it on this planet at this point. And it's come to my attention that the thymus plays a very large role. The thymus gland plays a very large role in this. And also that the thymus in...
a large part your entire endocrine system does, yes.
Okay. Well, my question dealing with the thymus is that with most of us, as science tells us now, the thymus gland goes to sleep around puberty and doesn't really wake up again. And it
No, it just changes jobs.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, can you tell me about
It
that?
begins to secrete other kinds of chemical compounds which dissolve themselves so thoroughly you have not even discovered where they are coming from yet, even though some of you are aware that they exist. You simply do not know what is manufacturing them because you think that particular gland has shut down, but it hasn't.
Oh.
And some of them have to do with some of the changes that you go through.
You mean
Now,
aging changes?
To some degree, yes. And therefore recognize that when you get in touch with living in the moment and get in touch with the idea of subsisting off of more of the energy as you accelerate your vibrational frequency, you will begin to recognize that these patterns can become selective. Certain ones will cease, certain ones will stop, certain ones will continue, certain ones will expand. And in this way you can recognize that it is the regulatory system in general, though it is connected to other glands in your body and other hormonal secretions as well. But that the thymus, along with what you call the pituitary, will begin to regulate a type of dance of balance to assess what your thought patterns, your attitudes, your behavioral beliefs are all about, and to inject the appropriate chemical hormones to represent what you believe most strongly is the pattern of electrical activity within your body that represents your self-awareness, your self-imagery.
I see. So my thought on that would be that taking and paying in meditation a lot of attention and putting a light, for instance, maybe as a symbol on the area of the thymus, and then maybe, as you're saying, connecting it with the pituitary, would that be a helpful meditation?
It is one way. That will work for some people. It will not work for everyone.
Uh-huh. I see.
Just as any idea that you might call any treatment for any dis-ease will usually not work for everyone.
Okay. Thank you.
But if that is what you are attracted to, then experiment with it. We perceive that you will probably make many changes in it, but for now, experiment with that. It will lead you to a further understanding of your glandular system.
Uh-huh. And the thymus is like right behind the heart, right? Is that what
In this area, inward.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Upper.
Upper heart. Okay. Thank you very much, Bashar.
Thank you. Shooting.
How you doing, dude?
Just fine, buddy.
Life is rad. Say, Bashar, I know that a lot of people invite you down to visit them, and you usually refer to the timing, and I'm not going to invite you down before the timing. But when the timing is propitious, come by my place, we'll crack open a couple beers, catch a Star Trek episode, maybe pick up a couple of chicks, have some fun.
He does this, Because he likes to have fun.
Yeah.
And so do we.
Yeah.
However, as we understand some of the references you have made, there are a few suggestions that we could make to allow the starship you are referring to travel more like a ship we are familiar with.
The Starship Enterprise, you mean?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Well, recognize the idea that it does not really, in your terms, take any time to get anywhere.
Right.
Now, the only way such a ship could exist is if, in your terms, the drive flickered on and off, allowing them to go just a small amount of space at a time, so that it would create the illusion of the need for long-distance traveling, even at what you would call a rate higher than light, so to speak, which doesn't literally occur.
Yeah. So you're saying their warp drives are somewhat warped in the actual concept of space travel.
You may say that.
Yeah. I'll be sure to mention that to them next time I talk to them.
All right.
My question relates to your earlier discussion about the blending of the idea of creationism and evolution.
Okay.
And I'm wondering how the process that we created on this planet for ourselves compares to processes that other civilizations have created on their own planet, such as, well, yours or any other
Ours
civilization.
is similar, not identical, but similar, although there are some that we have come across that are widely divergent.
Such as?
Such as the idea of what may be called remote control evolution. There is a society we are familiar with that allow the idea of a form of puppeteering to occur, if you wish, in the evolutionary chain as they observed it while not, quote-unquote, attached to the physical form. And in a sense, truly played out the entire evolutionary process while observing it from above.
Yeah.
That is one way.
So, the evolutionary process, how far does the evolutionary process take the development of the physical being, or physical manifestation?
It can take it all the way from what you call first density into non-physicality. It depends upon the drive, the needs, the reasons, the impetus, the directions. You follow me?
Yes, I guess my question was more along the lines of prior to the assumption of a sentient consciousness, where does the evolution? At what point in the evolutionary process does the sentient consciousness take over, if you will?
In the framework that you are referring to that we may call most common colloquial between us, it will be when the neuronic mass capable of sustaining and representing consciousness in mentality format has reached approximately 600 to 700 cubic centimeters.
Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay.
Do you understand?
You're talking about the size of the brain, the volume of the brain. Okay. How about
although not all beings would be representational of what you would call a brain format. There can be other modalities that still represent the necessary amount of mass, but do not contain it in the format you would recognize as a brain.
Okay.
Some of them will contain it throughout the entire structure of the body.
Such as an earthworm has a rudimentary brain which extends along the length
Similar
of the
to that idea, yes.
Okay. Well, how about relating it in terms of our evolution with respect to various evolutionary steps? We've got labels such as Cro-Magnon or Cro-Magnon, Neanderthal, Pithecanthropus erectus, things like that. Where would the assumption of the consciousness occur within that framework?
It can still vary, but it will require, as our perception understands it, a minimum of approximately 900 cubic centimeters. The average will be around what you would call 1,200.
See, I don't know how to relate the volume of the brain to the stages that I just listed. Can you help me there?
Yours is approximately 1,150.
Thank you. Hey,
I am speaking in general of all of you.
Yeah. Okay, so you're saying the assumption is, what did you say, 9,000?
900.
900, I mean?
Hey.
Okay. And
Cro-Magnon, as you understand that, approximately was 1320.
That's bigger.
Yes. for different reasons. Different expressions in different ways. What you call analysis has, in your terms, reduced the need for some portions of activity within the brain.
Which activities is it really?
The intuitive ones.
Okay. So the Cro-Magnon had a more intuitive existence. Is it relatively common then for this process of evolution and the assumption of the consciousness within civilization? Is that a relatively common?
Within this universal frame of dimension, yes. But there are many others.
Yeah.
Does this assist you?
It does it.
Thank you very much. Shooting.
Hello, dear friends.
And to you. Good day.
Butterfly here.
Hey.
Yes.
Do you like your mountaintop?
Oh, I just got back about 2 days ago, and 4 months of about 95%, I can't say seclusion, because as you know, I have communicated with you quite often, and your energy, Bashar,
we thank you for your love letters.
It's been 4 months of probably more changes than I've had in my entire life.
Thank you.
And I appreciate all the help that you've given as far as the vortex and the energies and the things that you said would occur. One of the things I want to talk to you about was I've heard your tapes every day, and I suggest everybody in the room, please do not go out without tapes. You hear them later. I've heard them 2 to 3 times.
Now.
And I keep thinking, where was I when I heard it the first time?
Exactly where you needed to be.
Right. But on the one thing that I wanted to share with you is I wanted you to name the community. I didn't want it to be like, I wanted you to. Now, this is sort of indirect, but I didn't want to tell you. I didn't think you would actually come out and give me a name.
No.
Well,
it's your job.
I know what you did anyway.
It's all right.
On a tape 3 days ago, I got him on this one. 3 days ago, I kept putting it out, and you wouldn't answer. And here on a tape, one lady asked a question about a word, and you gave more definition to it. And the minute you said it, I knew that was the name of the mountaintop community. And the word is Eliatar, Mount Eliatar. And I've got not sure my pronunciation. Your description on it was, we just all sat there with goosebumps and tears and what have you. So
are you referring to a word in our ancient remnant language?
That's what yes.
Eliakar.
Eliakar. And could you spell it? Please?
If you wish, it can translate into your phonetics as I-L-L-I-A-K apostrophe A-R.
That's what whoa.
It means experience.
Yes. I've got the words. I took your definitions down on it. But
it actually literally means what you see in the mirror.
Yes, the mirror reflection, the mirror image. So that is Mount Eliatar.
Eliatar.
Somebody remember that? Okay.
You may if you wish.
I got it. Okay.
Simply use your own translation if you wish.
No, but it felt right because of the idea on it. And I just wanted to also
One moment. Perhaps as a preference if you wish. It can simply be Ili. I-L-L-I, Ili. It will, in annotated form, mean the same thing.
I think that would be easier.
Ili.
Right.
Mount Ili.
Mount Ili, that's it. That's it. See, you did name it.
Mirror Mountain.
Mirror Mountain, woo! Okay, that's it. Like I said, in the 4 months, the changes have been unusual.
Well, thank you.
You had mentioned before to research Pleiades, as you know, and my first question I wasn't going to ask. I've said yes and no all the way up here, and I'm going to ask you, I think, yes I am. You said to research the Pleiades landing, and you sent me to the person that does Pleiades, and he said it would be a second landing there, and he said don't say too much about it. The government has tendencies to have some corrections on it. And then when you said on one tape, you are the government, I decided to hell with it. I'll just come out and talk about it as I feel it's necessary.
All right.
And we have had some very strong energy, as you know.
I
mean, it's been hovering right over, and it's the most... It got exciting, and now it's like, well, will you get down here and start talking? It's sort of where we're feeling at this point. And it feels very natural. It doesn't feel unusual.
One suggestion for all of you to remember with anything, and you can apply it in whatever way, shape, or form it makes most sense to you, to remember this, for this might occur. And this will be something you may be able to use if and when it does occur. Any time an energy that you have focused on might seem to be dissipating, remember, it does not necessarily mean it is dissipating if you do not feel it as strongly. It may only mean you are acclimating to it.
Yeah.
You simply have a tendency to measure things in terms of the differences that you are used to seeing between different ideas, rather than recognizing that something does not have to be represented as going away if you are simply getting used to it. And actually getting used to it means it's coming closer, because you are being more equal to the vibration. And as you become absolutely equal to it, it will, in a sense, seem to have vanished externally because it will be completely internal.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. And the question I've gone back and forth on, okay, come on. You said to research the physiological face-to-face confront with the Billy Myers, which there's been a situation connected with me, and I've got some friends that have pointed out their viewpoint of semiosis.
Yay.
And I've got goosebumps right now, and my stomach's rumbling, and there is a connection. I've had such strong judgment on her, and people mispronounce the name, and I instantly jump all over them.
Why?
That's what I wanted. I think I know, but I want your viewpoint. There is some kind of a connection, I know that, because it's an instant, I don't know.
Well, you are tapping into the general consciousness stream, yes.
Why am I so judgmental of her? I mean, it's not sane, and I see myself doing it and jumping in conclusions. And
all right. You are picking up on some of the vibrations that are also associated with the way some of the information has been filtered or translated into your society. It is that negative polarity, filtration, translation that you are also picking up on, because the energy has to include both. Simply don't focus on the negative, and you will not feel it coming through you in a judgmental way.
Right, because that's about the only major judgmental thing that I come very strongly.
Let me put it this way, very, very colloquially. Do not necessarily take me absolutely literally, but this may suffice to illustrate what you are doing. Some of the connections that you yourself have unconsciously realized have allowed you, by being connected to your earth plane as well, to see how some of the information that the Pleiadians have presented upon your society has translated sometimes into a negative form. And the reason you are so judgmental is because you are looking at how some of this has translated negatively, and all you're doing is looking at the Pleiadians and going, how could you let that happen? But it's not up to them. It's up to you.
It's up to us. It's up to us.
Yes. You will always translate the information in the way that represents what you are most strongly all about at any given moment. They can do nothing about that.
Okay.
It's your planet.
They're here to help, I realize that.
Oh, yeah.
They're here to aid and help.
But they cannot force you to understand the information they deliver in the way they originally deliver it. They have to let you interpret it in the way that you choose to interpret it as a society.
Okay.
That's also why at this time, to some degree, there is a small pullback on the part of all the civilizations, to some degree, that are in contact with your planet, to let you assess the information you already have and see what direction you choose to allow it to take you.
Yes.
Because that will determine whether or not you give us the ability to continue to interact with you on certain levels. Plain and simple. All right.
Yes, it makes a lot more sense. But we are really working on a fourth density viewpoint for the community.
All right, don't have to work too hard, remember.
No, it's just happening. It really,
all right,
I've never seen it. You say the synchronicity has been occurring.
Yes, and it will accelerate.
I want you to know we have a sign made up of Bashar Boulevard. Is that okay? True.
In the sense, simply, that the word we have chosen to represent ourselves is one of the words in the languages of your planet. You obviously may use it as you wish, but it does not have to be a direct reference to us, which in a sense it isn't. For remember that in one of your native Arabic languages, the word Bashar, which I have chosen to represent myself by, simply means messenger.
Ooh. And
that is what you all are.
Yes.
So use it in that way, with that spirit.
Okay, now, because we've been on this thing, you mentioned the vortex. Galen had come up several weeks ago, and you said the main vortex had an Orion, one of the most ancient tunnel back connected to the Orion times. And we were kind of curious, is that exude the service to self energy? Or
to some degree. It is also partly responsible for allowing you to begin to learn to blend and balance the polarities we have discussed. And if you simply connect into the negative vibration, you will find yourself being very judgmental. If you don't, you won't. But it is there very clearly representative And you can choose either way, and the way you choose will instantly transform into the type of effects you create.
That's what's been happening, because
Yes.
I've never seen myself so judgmental in my life. It comes flaring
Yes.
up, and we've been very dramatic about it. I see new people coming in, and you hear judgment, 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 and it's becoming, we're making a game out of it now.
All right. Very good. That can
And
turn it around into positive light.
putting it into the now and dramatizing it, and it just disappears.
Balance, blend.
Right.
Remember, if you are calling it Mirror Mountain, then all the images you see are reflections of yourselves. Thank you very much.
Just one last. This is for
Very
the miles
brief.
to see you.
Very brief.
Very brief.
You do not need to ask these things.
That's true. But you mentioned something about two things on pain, because I'm still working through, but I know it's okay. But you said something, all pain is judgment, and you mentioned another thing about
It is resistance.
resistance, but then you mentioned on another tape the idea that pain is when your metaphysical self frequency is quite different than your body frequency, and it's going through a painful changeover.
Resistance. In other words, the idea of creating there to be a difference between your body frequency and what you call your spirit frequency, when there really doesn't have to be a difference. In creating a difference, you create friction, because you are creating the idea that your body frequency is somehow lower than your spiritual one. And when you put together a slower and a faster frequency, you get friction, which creates pain through resistance.
Okay, that makes sense.
Remember, your body is your spirit in physical terms. Remember, your consciousness is not in your body. Your body is in your consciousness.
Oh, there it is.
Yes. Fly away, little butterfly.
Oh, you're beautiful. Well, as you know, you've been there, and everybody's welcome. If anybody wants to leave their names, everybody here is welcome to Mirror Mountain or Mount Eli?
Ely.
Mount Ely. It's done.
You may find out during your break time,
Beautiful.
which is coming up shortly.
Thank you so much, sweetheart.
Thank you.
Love.
To you, unconditionally. Shooting.
Good evening, Bashar.
And to you.
I haven't talked to you in a long time, but I've been around, and it's about time I'm sorry, I'm going to ask a personal question.
All right.
I need to do that. But I'm about to make a change in my occupation, more of an addition.
Exciting.
Well, yeah and no.
All right, yeah and no.
I sort of seesaw back and forth on that. So
Seesaw, all right.
I thought I'd like some of your input on what you might perceive ahead for me on that.
Why are you mumbling?
Am I mumbling? I don't know why I'm mumbling.
Are you not certain of the things that you say excite you?
That's right.
Do you not trust them? Do you not trust that they can support you?
That's it exactly.
But do you not understand the contradiction in definitions? That which excites you, by definition, must support you, or it wouldn't excite you. Because excitement represents the vibration of the path you chose to be. It therefore shows you, by being exciting, that it will allow you to do it effortlessly and allow you to do it as abundantly as you need to. Otherwise, you'd be excited by something else.
Well, I'm sort of in the position of the young lady who was up here earlier, of having a little trouble sorting out where the excitement is.
Well, what do you want to do? Keep it simple. Keep it simple. What is the most exciting thing you can be doing, that you are capable of doing at this moment?
What Daryl's doing.
All right.
But I find it difficult
Why?
to picture me in that.
Why?
I don't know why. I haven't figured out why.
All right. Let's use that imagination, shall we? Yes, no, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
All right. I will not force you. I will wait.
I guess that I have considerations about what other people think, and I have trouble of seeing it fitting into my family and personal other ties that I have.
But the you define yourself to be right now, the uncertain you, will of course only be able to project an uncertain relationship with everyone else. The second you define yourself as the certain you, then you will project a certain idea of all your relationships. A definitive one.
I do understand that, and I can see how that fits me, but still I vacillate so on this, and
all right. But can you understand that perhaps for you the vacillation is a part of the process? And that through this so-called vacillation or oscillation, you will then touch, like a pendulum, on all the things you need to touch on so that you can, bit by bit, as you accelerate into the center, add and integrate all these things to vibrate in the center of yourself by having first touched on all sides.
That has occurred to me.
Yes,
Yes.
well, then trust that having occurred to you allows you to know you are instinctively in touch with the fact that the process you're going through, perhaps for now, is exactly the process you need.
Well, it might
So the second you relax that what you are going through is exactly what you need to go through, paradoxically, in relaxing, you will allow the process to speed up. And you won't need to go through as much of it.
That would be nice. Could you?
It is nice.
It is nice. Could you just sort of give me a little
All right.
look into the...
First, you must answer the original question. Yes, no, maybe. Shall we use that imagination or not?
Well, that's what it's for. I guess we should use it.
All right. No guessing. Yes, no, maybe.
We should use it, yes.
Thank you. Imagine. Simply play with us for now. Imagine yourself doing it. Just doing it. Picture it for now, even if it is only for you a game. All right?
Okay.
Just picture yourself doing it now. You have already stated on one level that you may hold yourself back because of the fear of what other people will think, yes?
Yes.
All right. What do you care?
Well, it's a pattern I've had this
All
lifetime.
right. Do you understand that you cannot prove anything to anyone anyway?
I do understand that.
All right. Then realize that no matter what another individual chooses to believe about you, it is simply representative of their belief. The idea is that every belief is valid. And if you are willing to do what you say excites you, then in a sense what you are also willing to say is that you are unconditionally loving. And if you are unconditionally loving, then it will not matter what anyone else says. You will love them nonetheless for the point of view they choose to be, relative to who you are. And in a sense, in another individual, giving you their point of view, if it doesn't vibrate with your frequency, then they have done you a service by pointing out to you in ever-strengthening format the ideas you are not, which strengthens the idea you are.
Okay.
Understand?
Yeah.
So even individuals who in your terms will rebuke you and attack you and judge you are giving you an opportunity to recognize that they may simply be expressing a high degree of polarity to allow you to more strongly define the vibration you are.
All right.
You can look at it that way. You
Yeah.
see, we are ever the optimists. Because we know, for us, it works. And it always works, and it never doesn't work. Because that's our reality, and that's our belief. So no matter what anyone chooses to say about you, you understand that your life is yours. And if you know you are functioning to the best of your ability within your integrity, then perhaps also some of these other people might from time to time point out to you where they believe you might be functioning outside of your integrity, and you have an opportunity to examine what they are saying and agree with them or not. So it always can also be looked at as a feedback, self-regulating, self-checking system to have other people around you give you their opinion on what you are doing. But that doesn't mean that they have the right to determine for you what is correct and what is not. Understand?
Yes.
You can use them as a self-regulating system. I see your point of view, you may say. I understand it. Thank you for giving me the loving opportunity of examining that. I find I A, agree with you, or B, disagree with you. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Plain and simple. Remember, all realities are real. All truths are true. And really, nothing we say is going to make a bit of difference to you until you decide that what you prefer is what you really prefer. Act on it, and then that is the only thing that will make a difference. That decision. Mm-hmm. We can provide you with our experience and our atmosphere to perhaps allow it to be more conducive and literally conductive for you to choose what you prefer.
That's what I'm after.
But that's all we can provide, and that's all we are providing right now.
Right.
Simply that it always does work and that you can learn to trust it. And I guarantee 100%, the more you trust it, the more that type of reality you will experience. And you will experience no other.
I understand.
Now, dream the dream you prefer to dream. And then live that dream. Your physical reality is only a dream, and you do not have to convince anyone else of that. You do not have to convince anyone else. That's not the point. The point is to fully be whoever you are in this life, to the best of the ability you have determined you can be that you. That's it. That is all that it takes to fulfill completely the idea of all the agreements you have made, and to absolutely shine as a reflection of infinite creation. You have that right. You deserve to be who you desire to be. All of you. You have that right. No one can tell you any different. It is up to you. And if you wish to be who you wish to be, then fair is fair. You must allow everyone else to be who they wish to be, even if who they wish to be is absolutely polar to you. For only in allowing them to be who they wish to be will you fully allow yourself to be who you are, and in being who you are fully, do you then only give them the best opportunity to see what idea you are. And only by fully allowing them to see what idea you are, do you even give them an opportunity to change their mind if they wish to. Understand?
I do understand. I'm working on that. And
all right.
I haven't achieved it fully yet.
Now, here's another, as you say, catch. Remember this, and do not be so hard on yourselves. Whatever you have achieved right now is a full and absolute, completely perfect idea in exactly the way you need to achieve it right now. You do not have to measure yourself against what you will be. Yes, you will change. Yes, you will grow. Yes, you will expand. But what you are right now is an absolutely perfect representation of whatever it is you are right now. So you have achieved this perfection, have you not?
That's right.
All you will be doing by changing is creating another perfection, and another perfection, and another perfection. Understand?
I like that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
At this timing, you may all take a short break. We will resume contact in approximately 15 of your minutes. How's it going?
Great.
All right, I'll say, before we continue, an idea that we have heard expressed from time to time in your civilization, from some of the more serious-minded of you. Not that we are in any way, shape, or form offering the idea of proof at this timing of who we are, for that is not the idea. It is the idea to remain unobtrusive, to share with you the information so the ideas are what you will focus on and not who is delivering them. But some individuals have expressed in their thoughts the idea that interactions between your civilization and members of another civilization perhaps should be a little more dignified. All right. I can be just as somber as any of you. However, nobody said that what you call extraterrestrials didn't know how to play. And you will find in all reality that it is through play and through laughter that you will create the closest bond with us. Just as with the dolphins upon your planet. They know how to play. And they can be very loving guides to teach you all how to play. In whatever way, shape, or form you desire to. And so, recognize that in the majority of these interactions, even when you are perhaps perceiving from us a somber attitude, a straightforward delivery of information, we are always laughing. And many times we will simply tailor the way the information comes because we perceive, you feel, you need to hear it that way to allow it to sound believable. And so you will not think that we are laughing at you. Never are we doing that. We cherish you. We enjoy you immensely. And so we thank you for being such a source of joy. And so, on that note, let us play. Shooting!
Good evening. How are you?
And to you, perfect and you.
Very good.
Thank you.
My question, no, your question, my question.
As our question, our answer is...
About 3 weeks ago, I was involved in a channeling session, and we were talking about Orion and experiences maybe I've had there and on Pleiades as well, and some healing abilities that maybe I possessed at the time. And then the entity said, Bashar wanted to talk to me. So now I ask you.
Thank you.
What would you like to say?
Thank you. Simply a reflection to each and every one of you that recognize your connection to the particular frequency you call Pleiadian and Orion, which are the polarity aspects of each other. Blending them backwards, if you wish, a linear representation into the systems you call Lyra. Many, many, many of your years ago. Before what you may call the split into Orion and Pleiadian. The idea is to simply recognize that it is our particular agreement, or there is a particularity within the agreement we have made to be of service to your planet at this time, to reflect and represent some of the original choices and agreements that were made specifically within the Orion systems. For we are geared, if you will, to allowing the idea of the original Orion energy, some of which may have been steeped in negativity, to find its fulcrum, to find its balance within the understanding of the triad structure of all creation. The polarity and the third point of balance that allows there to be transformation and change. The whole idea in this blending and this balancing is to simply, truly, very simply, always understand that the second you do with integrity the thing that excites you the most, then you will be allowing for the strongest blending of the polarities to take place within you. Now, we have found from time to time that the idea also of certain systems that have been created upon your planet, and very strongly, specifically the one that is referred to as Scientology, will have been, in a sense, a system created by Orions for Orions to allow them to assimilate to the idea of the Earth vibration in ways that were similar to the way they assimilated and understood the Orion original vibrations to be. This does not mean that other individuals who have other connections cannot use that system or have not used it. But it simply was originally created. And much of the idea of analysis upon your planet stems from some of the idea of the original Orion filtering. Therefore, to some degree, the way in which many individuals perceive the concept you call science in and of itself upon your planet stems to some degree as a trickle-down effect from some original Orion vibration. The analysis, the idea of the high focus of awareness in what you might call an analytical nature. The idea simply that we wish to share and simply recognize that our service automatically attracts is the opportunity to reflect back to each and every individual that is dealing with that particular connection that the control is always within you, as to some degree you have already discovered for yourself. Simply the attraction at this point and the drawing together functions as a reflection of something that is now after the fact. Something that functions as a reflection of things you have already begun to integrate. just so that we can function as a marker, if you will, for individuals to allow them to know they are keeping the agreements they have made and can continue to accelerate those agreements by doing what excites them with integrity. You follow me?
Yes, maybe you are going to be answering the question that is for tonight. It deals with a dream I had maybe about 3 or 4 months ago.
All right.
When I was encountered by family that the devil was going to possess me, and they possessed them already. And I woke up, and as I woke up, I took a sip of water, just lit a cigarette, and before me, behold, an 8-foot etheric being, very old, and stepped out of thin air. What is it? Who is it? Is it me?
In a sense, yes. But the idea is to also recognize that what you typically call or typify as the devil is simply the negative polarity of the combined consciousness of your entire race, of your entire world. And therefore you gave yourself the opportunity to recognize there really is no strong distinction between the dream reality and the physical reality. They are representations, different representations of the same reality. And so that gave you an opportunity to see the manifestation of that heretofore ethereal form, projection of that aspect of your consciousness, an opportunity to see the polarity in active manifestation, to recognize that you call those things forth out of the immaterial into the material solely based on the vibration and the attitude and the beliefs that you are at any given moment. So it was an opportunity to see the polarity idea, to see how those dream realities bridge into physical reality, and how physical reality is but an extension of the dream. So in a sense, yes, it was you, but also it was an archetypal representation of the collective portion of your consciousness that represents that idea, that ancient belief, a very, very ancient and old belief, sometimes can be expressed as the negative form of the dragon, sometimes can be expressed as the positive form of the dragon. It is the ancient, almost the most ancient symbol your planet has to represent the combined collective consciousness in either polarity expression on your planet. Does that serve you?
Very well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Exciting dreams to you. Shitting.
Good evening, Bashar.
And to you.
I am very excited about the harmonic convergence. And I plan to be in Hawaii.
All right.
Many of us are planning to be in different places. I want to thank you for everything you've said this evening, and particularly your introduction and what you just said about playfulness and laughter. That strikes a deep chord within me.
Oh, thank you for allowing me to play your tune.
It's my pleasure. I was just speaking to the entity friend several weeks ago about the idea of levitation. And I said it had occurred to me that seriousness and somberness have to do with gravity. And a lot of mass and weight. Whereas laughter and levity have to do with very light, very spiritual.
Uplifting, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I find myself flying in my dreams quite often. And enjoying it so much. And the minute I find myself flying, I know I'm dreaming. And I've taken to saying, oh, I'm dreaming. And I'll say, lucid dreaming.
Now, will all of you do me a favor? All of you, all at once. You do not have to, but you may find it fun. Repeat after me. Oh. Right now. I am dreaming. Thank you. It is very literal. Very literal. Right now, you are all dreaming. The physical reality dream. And the whole idea, as many of you are discovering, is to learn to wake up in that dream, to create it to be whatever dream you prefer it to be, because it is only a dream.
Yes, one of my favorite things that Bob Dylan said once was, I'll let you be in my dream if I can be in yours. So I want to thank you and everyone here for being in my dream.
Thank you. One moment.
Yes.
Though we cannot share much at this time, to simply let you know what the connection was, the individual you have mentioned by the name of Robert will have some interesting accelerations within the next 7 of your years.
Robert?
Dylan.
Robert, oh, sorry.
For the individual, as we recognize, it already has a profound effect upon your planet.
Absolutely.
And in this way, recognize there will now be within the next 3 years an acceleration, and 4 years after that, a very different approach, a very different approach, a very different approach. As we perceive the energy now, and to some degree interconnectedness with more things in a different way. Thank you.
Thank you, Bashar.
For opening the door so that we may have perceived that portion of the momentum of your planet.
Who's speaking?
It is, as you recognize, I, but with an overtone connection. For now, that will do. All right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Very perceptive. Thank you so much. I've felt very strong connections with that energy, being, and the viewpoints that have been shared.
Some of it will have very strong connotations with regard to the dolphin consciousness.
I love it.
Dream, 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 dream.
You bet. I can hardly wait. See you at the harmonic convergence.
Thank you. Shooting.
Good evening.
And to you, good day.
Thank you. In the spirit of ever-increasing play and learning, we seem to have moved most recently away from what could be seen by some as a polarization to the negative side of nuclear war.
In our perception, you have, as of approximately 10 of your years ago, already decided that you will not annihilate yourselves by that means. This is simply a reflection of a decision you have all made unconsciously, collectively, and which is now leaking into your conscious awareness. That is, as we perceive your energy now.
So my question would be then, when will the old forms that supported that kind of activity worldwide as a planetary consciousness cease to make way for new forms?
Most abruptly within what you call the next 15 of your years, most absolutely within the next 30 as we read your energy now.
In what way? Will that be a manifestation of what you brought here tonight as the matrix for the planet, say, for instance?
Well, one of the ideas behind what you call this harmonic convergence as the fulcrum point between an old reality and a new reality, an old vibration and a new vibration, is to recognize that as you each individually become the pattern for the reality you wish to experience, then bit by bit, each and every one of you add to the overall energy of your world's ability to become that world as you have envisioned it. And it will accelerate in that direction, and you will begin to see the blending and harmonics occur between what is now distinct and segregated levels of your society. Sociologically, economically, politically, all these things will begin to blend as each and every one of you realize that you are your governments and begin to act accordingly.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is your world. Shooting.
Good evening.
And to you, good day.
The last time we were talking about, or I was talking about, and we got into the area of multiple existences on the planet Earth and sociological engineering. And I'm aware of a bit of the sociological engineering to me suggests an organized system of data and application.
Somewhat, yes, although it is on our end somewhat spontaneous. Organized in its inherent idea, but not so much completely pre-planned.
Yes, but apparently that seems in opposition to the concept of we're each our own path.
No.
Slightly.
Not really. We do not mean there to be a contradiction as you understand that term. Simply that our sociological engineering has to do with attracting ourselves to the vibrations that are already creating themselves to be most conducive to interaction with us.
So one of the basic principles to me is the fact that we are creating our own experience, our own existence.
Yes.
Could you share some other basic principles upon which the engineering is based?
Like vibration attracts like vibration. Plain and simple on that level. Also the fact that there are multiple realities, and therefore that like vibration will actually create and coalesce the one reality that is representative of whatever collective vibrations are most representative of our vibration, and that is the one we will interact with. Social engineering, in that sense, may be a misnomer. The idea can be perhaps more aptly or precisely defined as simply attraction, the principles of attraction that will gather together the gravitational attraction, metaphysically speaking, energy speaking, that will gravitate together all the different fragments that are vibrating at the same rate to create, in a sense, project themselves into the universe that represents that particular reality. Social engineering is simply more of a gathering of like vibration, rather than a forcing or a directing into a particular modality. It is the supplying of an atmosphere that is literally conductive to attract those elements that are similar or desire to be similar, to gather unto ourselves as a seed, as a nucleus, all in that way that desires to be of similar vibrational realities. To instill within each and every one of those gathered their own sense of being a seed and a nucleus. In other words, self-empowering them. So that then it can be a holographic matrix that supports every element within it equally. Not by focusing around one particular center such as ourselves, but by creating an infinite number of centers within the whole idea, around which all realities will then interlock and rotate. Is this making some sense?
Some. So you're attracting similar...
Yes. It is the idea that has been colloquially referred to in your planetary mythology as harvesting. It is simply that we radiate at a particular frequency and gather the idea of any individuals that radiate a similar frequency, reflect that frequency back to them, show it to them as their own frequency so that each can function as a similar radiator and a similar attractant to strengthen the cohesive glue of that reality and allow it to coalesce and manifest.
Okay. But there's also some presumption of change.
Yes, of course. All things change. But many changes can still occur within an overall signature vibration, a reality vibration. There is much room, much leeway in any particular reality for many divergences within that reality. That is what enriches any reality, is the diversity within it. That is what allows it to be holographic, holographically reflective. It is homogeneousness through diversity.
So what is the purpose of the gathering?
Because simply it is the representation of like attracts like. The only purpose that it needs to have is that it is simply that we are being true to who we are, and individuals that we attract into our reality are being true to who they are. That is the whole purpose to it, is to simply create the reality that we perceive ourselves to be, and to do it and share it with as many other individuals that desire the similar reality. That is the purpose. The purpose is to create, because we are all, you and I, creators. Because we are, you and I, creation itself. We do not need any other purpose other than the fact that that's what we are. We are simply being true to ourselves. That is the purpose. Does that explain it?
I'll have to work on it for a while.
Oh, all right. What is it about it that seems to be difficult or unclear?
It's a matter of absorption.
All right. Absorb away. Thank you for your sharing.
Thank you.
And the expression of the vibration that you have chosen to represent the idea you are most aligned with at this moment. Thank you. Sharing.
Hi.
Hi.
I've always hello. Okay.
Hello.
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 Hi.
Hi.
I've always hallucinated a lot, which means I see things that other people don't, and I don't.
Me
think
too.
Oh, really? And recently, it's gotten my way, and I've started taking medication to reduce the hallucinations.
Why?
Because everyone thinks I'm crazy.
So? It is a relative thing, you know.
There's another problem.
Everyone is crazy in their own way.
I know I am crazy in my own way. That I agree. But there's a problem. Is it got to the point where I couldn't work.
All right.
Do things that it takes to survive in this world.
Things you think it takes to survive.
Yeah, tell me, how can I make a lot of money without having to work?
Well, the idea is to do what you love to do, and then it will not seem like work.
Right, I know that.
Yes.
But how can I integrate these hallucinations? Like, I'm taking drugs now that I don't really want to keep taking.
All right. Can you define or describe any of the so-called hallucinations?
Well,
first of all, do you understand what a hallucination is?
Well, sometimes when I'm having them, I know it's a hallucination, and sometimes I don't.
Do you know what a hallucination is?
Yes, I do. It means other people don't see it.
What is it?
Well, it's... I don't know. It's different things.
Thank you.
Different things.
It is, however, one particular thing. All hallucinations are
connected.
one particular thing. They are all realities.
Right. Well,
real realities.
Recently, I've been having just minor things like spatial distortions where
yes.
it feels like I'm looking down a tunnel
yes.
and the floor is
yes.
on the ceiling.
Yes.
And when I look at, it seems like I can see things microscopically.
Yes.
Like as in a close-up all the
yes.
time. And when people talk, it sounds like they're screaming.
All right.
All the time.
All right.
Which really is disturbing.
Yes. All right.
Loud.
Yes.
And then also, I think, now this people have called paranoia, that I hear what people are thinking. But
to some degree you can.
Yeah.
You are simply very strongly empathic.
Uh-huh.
Very strongly empathic. Do you understand what that means?
No.
Then why did you say, uh-huh?
Well, I know empathy means to empathize.
And what does empathize mean?
To care a lot about the other person.
You're on the right track, but that's the mechanism that activates it. But what is empathy? Empathy is...
a feeling.
It is a complete identification with someone else so that you create the same patterns within yourself, perhaps sometimes in an amplified form.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand what we have said?
Yes. What about, when I hallucinate, say, a big party or something like that?
What about it?
Is that the same? That's not emphasizing.
It can be. It can be empathy. It can be, in other words, identification with other whole realities that are shared by groups of consciousness. Mm-hmm. Now, you can learn to tone it down to a comfortable level if you are willing to understand the first principle above and beyond anything. The first principle being that you are choosing to create that reality for your own reasons. Uh-huh. You must own it before you can transform it in any way, shape, or form. You follow me?
Yes.
So, do you understand that there is a reason for why you are creating it, and do you understand that you are creating that reality?
I don't understand the reason why I'm creating it.
Do you understand that you are creating it?
I could see that I might be, yes.
Do you understand that you are? I do not mean to be insistent nor force a belief system upon you. But the idea is, once again, that you cannot change it if you do not own it. You must understand that everything you experience in your reality is your projection, is your creation, in the way you're experiencing it. This does not mean that there are not things going on in other realities that you are not sensitive to, but in order to experience it in your reality, you have to create your version of it in your universal reality, or you can't experience it. Understand?
No.
All right. Let's say for a moment that each and every one of you is distinct, your own universal reality. In order for someone to share with you an idea that they have, in order for you to experience a similar reality to them, you have to telepathically agree to experience it. So that each of you can create the similar idea in your perceptible experiential reality. If someone, as you say, is not willing to telepathically share that with you, they will not experience an idea that you have chosen to experience, and hence, as you say, they do not see what you see. Because they simply have not agreed to share that idea with you, perhaps simply because it has nothing to do with the particular reality they prefer. Every single person on your planet, to some degree, shares a common reality, to some degree. That common reality is not there without you. You are agreeing to experience any degree of commonality you are experiencing. You are agreeing to play a certain game. Now, some of you in this transformational age, especially because you are allowing yourself to be more sensitive to different realities, are becoming a little bit unstuck from the mass agreed upon reality and are willing to explore a few more probable realities in a very different sensorial way. This is what you are going through. You are loosening up the idea from attaching or focusing to one particular agreed upon reality and expanding your senses to be able to perceive different vibrational frequencies on what might be called the telepathic level, the level that most individuals do not allow at this moment to manifest into physicalized reality, but nonetheless you are sensitized to. Thoughts, ideas, wishes, desires, and so forth, that other individuals, sometimes fears, that other individuals and groups of individuals may be playing out in the dream reality as probable realities they may manifest, but to you they are becoming real because you are beginning to bridge the gap between non-physical and physical reality. You are beginning to live literally in the dream reality as one reality and not two realities. So you are seeing less and less distinction between the non-physical reality and the physical reality. You are seeing them blend. Many strong individuals in that way have allowed themselves to do this. One of the most famous among you, as you understand it, was the being you call Nikola Tesla. And that is how this individual invented many of the things they did, by learning that the hallucinations they were seeing were real realities, understanding that they were creating those, and then defining and describing them as they desired to see them, so that they could then manifest them at their own rate, to their own preference, without, in your terms, simply allowing it to be a random and wild talent. You have that wild talent, that sensitivity to the non-physical realm, because the non-physical is no less real than the physical. It is simply that it is easy for you to experience the solidity of dreams, whereas most individuals still relegate them to a non-physical realm and so are unaffected generally by them. But you are highly empathic. You are highly allowable in that sense. You are highly open to manifestation. Remember also this. The reason you are connecting in that way to so many other realities is because when you blend the dream reality and the physical reality, you begin to really, really understand that each and every other, quote-unquote, individual in reality is simply you in another version, in another form of expression. So of course you are intimately intertwined because every other person is you in another mode of expression. So of course you can identify with all of them, feel the same things that all of them do. Now, what it takes is simply a recognition and a definition and a sitting down and a meditation of the particular vibrational frequency you prefer to represent a convenient idea of your persona. And as you define what your persona is, you are not going to shut out all the other ideas because you really don't want to. But you will allow the other ideas to manifest in your reality at a rate that will still allow you, and a level that will still allow you to express the persona you desire to be at the rate you desire to express it without feeling overwhelmed and out of control. The only reason you feel out of control is because you have been taught to believe that things can be overwhelming and out of control. And it is only that viewpoint that seems to create that lack of control in your life. You don't need that viewpoint. You can redefine the personality that you are, and you can redefine that personality to no longer contain the definition that you can be out of control. No matter what you connect into, no matter what your senses receive, you can know that you, A, must be receiving these things on a level you can handle, really, intrinsically, fundamentally, or you wouldn't be able to receive them at all. And therefore, knowing you can handle the way it is coming, paradoxically, will allow you the conscious control over the reality so that you will then create it to be in the format you believe consciously is representative of the way you desire to handle it. Is any of this sinking in?
Yes.
All right. Also understand we are communicating with you on many more levels than just the auditory vibration you are hearing. We are speaking to you on fundamental empathic levels. You are getting this message. To some degree, what we are now doing, if you wish to be let in on it, is that we are directing a very strong electromagnetic current in your direction that will only intersect and only interact with vibrations of like kind wherever you desire them to intersect and interact, to allow you to become, as you already are beginning to be, superconductive, but not in a way you cannot handle. Not in a way that panics your ego structure. If you allow your ego structure to blend and balance in that superconductivity, I shall actually say hyperconductivity, because hyperconductivity is the ability to transmit that energy in more than one direction at the same time, then you can blend and balance and solidify communication between yourself on all levels. That communication between yourself on all levels will let you know you have the power to adjust any of the dials and any of the knobs of your reality to whatever level you think you can tolerate. A lot of this information is going to come out in what you colloquially call your dream reality. Some of it may come out in your physical reality, since you are more willing than most to allow your physical reality to be representative of your dream. But let it come out and understand that the level, first of all, pay attention, the level it comes out on, in the way it comes out first, let it be all right. Let it be all right. All right, if it's uncomfortable, fine. We understand it. It doesn't have to remain. But at first, let it be all right. Because you created it that way. And paradoxically, as soon as you acknowledge that you chose to create it that way, you will usually find that the level will change. Instantly. As soon as you acknowledge that the way it came was all right, and don't invalidate it, don't push against it, don't resist it, let it flow through you. Through you. Remember, you are hyperconductive. It will go through you. It will not stick. It will go through you. And as soon as you allow it through you, you will be able to modulate it, because then you will own it. And as you own the frequency, you can play with it all up and down the scale as you wish to. And you can adjust it. Oh, that's a little loud. All right, let's tune it down. I chose to allow it to be loud, perhaps just to get my attention at first. Perhaps in allowing it to get my attention, there is something here I should pay attention to. All right, well, I'll tune it down a little bit and pay attention. The sooner you pay attention to anything you create in your reality, the sooner it can manifest in a form that will allow you to be more comfortable with it. The only time things become grating and obnoxious in your reality is when you are coming from a belief system in which you say, I do not wish to pay attention to this thing. It has no business in my life. Let it have a business in your life. And as soon as you let it in, it's within your control. And as soon as it's within your control, turn the dial down. It will go down. Understand?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Does this assist you?
Yes, I think so. Mm-hmm.
Allow yourself also to be assisted by all levels of reality, all levels of consciousness who wish to assist you. It is not that you need a lot of help, but allow yourself to know that you have assistance, unconditionally loving assistance that will help you modulate and relax into the vibrational flow that you are. For remember what we said. Something that may seem to be beyond you, something that may seem to be above you, if you allow yourself to match that vibration, will seem very typical and very easy to handle. It is only when you create there to be a vast difference between who you think you are and what you are manifesting in your reality, that is what creates the friction. So do not let there be so much of a difference between what you are perceiving and what you think of yourself. You are, literally, are the reality you are experiencing. Your so-called hallucinations are simply your creative way of beginning to realize that you actually are the reality and do not really exist in a reality.
Okay.
Our unconditional love and light, and our congratulations and our appreciation at your willingness to be so bold in your life, so artistic, so blatant. Soften your edges. Relax into the being that you are. Sleep comfortably within the idea of yourself. And you can awaken refreshed and knowing beyond the shadow of a doubt that with ease of creation and effortless joy, you are the creator of your reality. Pleasant dreams to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. One other idea. Breathe slowly, clearly, and easily. Breath itself as a technique can put you directly in alignment with all the energy that you are and all the control that you are aware of within you. Thank you. Shedding.
Good day, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
What's been resonating with me is Vision Quest. And I had this experience, and I was talking to this person, and this was a strong experience of like looking straight at me, and as if, I don't know, just this strong energy coming from him to me, as if he pulled me to his face and told me in my face that like I would be doing that or something.
All right, so what do you wish to do with this?
One, I want to know if you're the creator of your reality, and I understand that in Vision Quest you put yourself through maybe physical extremes to transcend that or something like that.
It is one way. You don't have to do it that way, but it's one way.
Yeah, so I was wondering, why am I going to do it that way?
Why are you going to do it that way? Going to do it that way?
I know, because...
Well, why are you going to do it that way?
I don't know.
Well, then, why do it? Why not do it some other way if you haven't done it that way yet? Which way do you prefer to do it?
Well, I guess there's a part of me that prefers to do it that way because...
One moment.
Okay.
Very important what you just said. Did you all hear? I guess there's a part of me. You really do not exist in part. Any idea you are experiencing at any given moment, you experience with the totality of your being. So if that's not the way you wish to be, do not use the excuse that a part of you is that way.
Yeah,
and therefore the rest of you can't help it.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's a part of me in there somewhere, I can't find it.
Yeah.
That's an excuse.
Yeah, it was.
You are a whole being. How does the whole being prefer to be?
The whole being is the whole being's fine. She wants to do that, and that's why she's going to do it. As simple as
will she do it in a way that she finds pleasurable, or will she do it in a way she finds painful?
I'll probably do it in a way that I find pleasurable. My concern was I didn't want to go against like sacred ways or that something like that, and I know that's crazy.
It is not crazy, but do you understand that the quote-unquote sacred ways involve the very act of effortlessness itself? That is what is so sacred about it. It is a flow. It is not a struggle.
But pinching your skin in 4 directions and burying yourself in a hole sounds like a struggle.
All right. But remember, individuals have created those ideas, not that you have to go through the same idea, the same ritual, but individuals have created those ideas to show that they are so centered that things you would typically think are a struggle and painful for them aren't. That's the whole idea. Okay. They have transcended the idea of giving it a painful meaning, and so they can do anything they wish, even things you think are painful, because to them they aren't. That's the whole idea.
Okay.
Do it in whatever way, shape, or form represents your ability to know it doesn't have to be painful, and you will fulfill the spirit of the quest.
Okay.
Understand?
I got it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Shedding.
Hi, Bashar. My name is Glora.
All right, if you say so.
I would like to share some things with everyone, but first of all, I want to say that I'm just very excited that I am creating and that you all are co-creators of tonight.
Well, thank you. Very excited that you chose to create us in your reality.
And also I'd like to share with everyone that I went to SeaWorld last Saturday, whatever.
Hey, whatever.
And I got to pet the dolphins.
Hey! Did they get to pet you?
Yes.
Yes.
That was so exciting.
Nice.
Another thing, I mean, every day is so exciting for me right
Yay!
now. It's just,
me too!
I tell you, it's like, it is believable.
Yes.
And another thing I'd like to share is that about a year from now, 4 days ago, I'm going to give birth to a little baby girl. And I have a 21-year-old son and a 16-year-old son. And
made a lot of agreements, haven't you?
yes, and this is the thing that has excited me the most. And so now my dream is going to come true.
All right.
And it's just been a lot of fun playing with that and playing with a lot of agreements on this planet about a 40-year-old not having children, etc. Anyway.
All things are flexible.
That's right. What I was wondering is if you could share with us some of your perception of what might be the optimum diet for us at this stage right now.
There can be no general diet for everyone.
Well, I do know that. Because everyone creates their own reality and wishes to experience whatever they want to experience, and they're creating that.
So what does your body consciousness tell you is correct for you?
Well, I knew you were going to say that. I mean, it's like...
How psychic of you.
I mean, you're right. We all know everything.
Yes.
I just thought maybe you might be able to
You are all
others.
already very well aware, in general, that some of you are losing urges for certain things in your dietary supplements. Some of you are already leaning toward the idea of what you call vegetable and fruit, which has long been understood to be more representative of what you would call a higher frequency, but there is no need to force yourself into that spirituality if your body consciousness says it is not yet timing. Aware of the type of things that your body can use to transform into physiological energy. And many of you are very well aware of the difference between eating what excites you and eating what you are anxious about.
Okay, that's a good point, because I have seen many people that, I've seen someone that died, let's say at 60, that ate very well, etc., and someone that, died at 90.
Well, there are many other belief systems that go into it.
Right.
It is not simply diet.
Okay, very good.
In other words, that individual, to put it very simply, not saying this is specifically the case, could have said, well, I'll be very healthy up until the day I die, which might be very soon. It all depends on how you define the beliefs within your reality.
Exactly.
Perhaps they did not believe that if it stretched beyond that, they would be able to remain healthy.
Right. Then what I'd like to offer then is, and share with everyone, is the idea that perhaps if more people would consider, like you say, themselves as a whole unit, and feel the vibrations and get in communication with the food, so that that particular food is going to give them the energy that they have, and break away from patterns or that they may have, so that they be, because it is on an individual basis.
Absolutely.
Right.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. I love you very much.
We love you all unconditionally.
Thanks.
Shooting!
Okay. Hi, Bashar.
Hi.
This is the first time I've spoken with you in this
Me
particular
too.
situation. Right. So I've listened to a number of your tapes, and I find them very exciting, and I have a lot of fun with them.
All right. Can you all hear?
Okay. Anyway, I've listened to a bunch of your tapes, and I've been having a lot of fun with them. And my life has been changing quite a bit.
Thank you for changing it.
Yes. There's one area that I have some confusion and uncertainty about.
All right, do share.
So it has to do with consciousness.
Yay.
Let me just throw out a few thoughts that you've mentioned.
All right, somebody get a bucket.
Try to put them all together. You said that we are all that is. You've said that we are immortal. Just today you said words to the effect of every person is me, or you said to a lady, every person is you as another mode.
Yes.
You've mentioned things about yourself blending your consciousness with other consciousnesses and then speaking. You talk about us expanding, growing. So what this all makes me wonder about is, see, I right now, this moment, feel the awareness that I am aware. I feel like I'm alive, or not just this personality construct, but it's me, you know.
Yes, I am. Yes.
I am. Yes. And I like this feeling.
Oh, good.
And I like to continue.
You're going to have it for a long time.
Well, this is what I'm hoping, but.
You don't have to hope.
Well, see, the question is that it appears that there's sort of a blending of consciousnesses, and pretty soon, or maybe we see this one I'm not too clear about. Did we start out as one consciousness, so that we're all now the same consciousness, just looking out of a different viewpoint? So I'm you, and I'm every person in this room.
That's the way it's always been. Yes.
This is the way it is. And so that means that even if I blend with another consciousness, I still have the same awareness of being aware, and I don't lose anything.
You do not lose your identity, no.
I don't get stirred in with a bunch of everybody
else. No. You see, the idea is that since it is all multidimensional and all looking at itself anyway, then any blending that goes on always takes place from the viewpoint of any particular portion of the blending. In other words, each and every one of you will think that all the blending is happening to you.
Oh, great. Oh, I see.
That is what it means to be all that is, a multidimensional perspective. Each and every perspective gets to remain its own perspective, just in a different way.
So then we have an oversoul, you've mentioned. That oversoul is the same consciousness as I feel I am now, and that you are now. Okay. So how
Oversoul can be simply called a microcosmic version of all that is.
So then every once in a while you mention something about the Oversoul that makes it seem to me as if the Oversoul is more cause than I am.
No, not really. Again, remember that we are limited by translating our concepts into your language. Your language does not always contain the words or the concepts that will allow us to express ourselves clearly.
Well, like I remember specifically, you mentioned something about if the Oversoul decides that you're going to walk down the hallway, you'll go down it one way or another. You decide how you'll go, but you'll go.
Generally, yes. So there is an exception.
Okay.
It is called conscious suicide.
Yeah, right. I heard another tape about that, or maybe it was today. But anyway, that means that the Oversoul is making a decision. But it seems as if I have less control over that decision.
Not really. In fact, in a sense, you could say you have more, because you do agree with the decision of yourself as the Oversoul, but you even have the ability as a physical representation of the Oversoul to add a level to that agreement that will allow you to forget you made the decision. It is you that have made the decision, you. So we are not truly separating the Oversoul from you. That is your colloquial point of view. You are the Oversoul.
Do you have an Oversoul?
Everyone does. But again, this is a convenient analogy. All consciousness is one.
Yes. So then I could then somehow make a point of connecting together with my Oversoul, and then there's only one consciousness.
Yes.
So then we don't have this mystery of what is my Oversoul.
No.
What is it, the agreement I made that I don't remember?
The separation is an illusion.
Okay, so
when you recognize there really is no separation, you have a connection. But it's more than a connection. It can take the form to make it seem as if you are having a discussion with an oversoul that is different from you.
Yeah.
But that is simply an illusion as well. You are simply talking to yourself.
Yes. Okay, so
just like I am right now.
Yes, I see that. I see that. This is great. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
At this timing. Oh, yes. Allow us to remind each and every one of you that you are already wrapped up in all the joy you need. You have yourselves, and you have us. But we are with you in the way that allows you to be fully who you are. Share, be the ideas that you choose to be. Remember, action, being who you desire to be is the way to have an equal conversation with us. Action. We thank you for the sharing that you have been willing to co-create with us this day of your time, for you this night. We thank you. Our unconditional love to you all. Exciting dream life dream to you all. And we thank you for sleeping within us and for allowing us to awaken within you. Good day. How'd it go? Thank you all for being here. What time is it?